Welcome to the Greenpoint Williamsburg News Magazine. Neighborhoods Today. In this edition, join us at the Greenpoint Hospital site for the groundbreaking ceremony celebrating the beginning of the Greenpoint Renaissance Enterprise Corporation's dream of 51 units of family housing. Then on to fanciful feastings and see what Chef Ralph Lupoli has to offer. And I'm Dick Mahon. In today's program, we see how the Greenpoint Williamsburg residents celebrate a victory over city plans to turn the former Greenpoint Hospital into a shelter for homeless men. After a 9-year fight against the city, the dream to convert the buildings into permanent housing for low-income families has become a reality. Starting with some background on this story, we have a 1983 interview that Angel Capolino had with Assemblyman Joseph Lentol.
The first thing I want to ask, since you are our Assemblyman, you represent a lot of people in our neighborhood, what is the major concern? This is a very close, very tight-knit neighborhood. So what do you think is on their minds the most these days?
Well, I think one of the burning issues of the day is the Greenpoint Hospital being converted to a homeless shelter. And that is certainly one of the things that the neighborhood is concerned about, and rightly so. And that's not from the standpoint of the neighborhood objecting to helping the homeless, but the way the city went about putting the homeless people into the Greenpoint Hospital. And in case you didn't know about what happened, the city came in the middle of the night, one August, I believe on August the 16th, and without consulting anyone, neither elected officials or the community board or anybody in the community, and just dumped these poor homeless people into the Greenpoint Hospital, which, by the way, was closed because it was inadequate as a hospital, dilapidated, and I suppose it's okay for homeless people, but at least that's the city's position. And the community is up in arms because they were not against helping the homeless on a small scale. As a matter of fact, the Greenpoint Hospital Task Force was involved in a project already, not only to house senior citizens or to build a nursing home, but had taken into account the needs of the homeless and was preparing part of the hospital grounds for a shelter for the homeless. So to add insult to injury, the city comes in and says, I don't care what your plans are. I don't care about notification or any due process. We're putting this shelter in whether you like it or not. And the following day, the elected officials immediately called a meeting with the Human Resources Administration, and they said, I'm sorry, the shelter is here. If you want to talk about security, we'll talk about it, but that's it.
Now, what's their next action? I mean, now that
Well, the community has demonstrated on a nightly basis in front of the Greenpoint Hospital site, protesting the city's actions. Again, understanding full well that this is a Christian neighborhood and it needs to take care of its brethren and sistren, if you will, but we're objecting to what the city did because of the way they did it. Not because of the nature of the problem, which is the homeless, because we're sympathetic to the homeless situation and would be willing to negotiate with the city for a homeless shelter site, but don't dump it in our laps. And the city is going to hear from this community, not only by demonstration, but as well as in the courtroom. And that legal action is being prepared at the present moment, and the city is being taken to court.
So there is some hope for the future. There should be some change through the demonstrations. You think we'll get some results?
Well, I hope. There's only small hope, but that's enough as far as I'm concerned to continue fighting.
The groundbreaking ceremony took place at the end of February, and the community's dream to build family housing has begun. Here are some highlights.
We have with us the borough president, Mr. Howard Golden. Mr. Golden, we'd like to have your impression on the festivities today.
Well, I'm a little bit excited, a little bit anticipatory, but I'm also very reserved. There are certain commitments that have to be kept here. One is the security of the complex. We expect that this is going to be carried out with community input. We're concerned about downsizing the size of the shelter, and all of these things we intend to monitor. But I think it's a great day. The sun is coming out. They said it was going to snow today, but I think the sun is shining on Greenpoint.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, sir. Right, good to have you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with Steve Cohen, and I'd like to go ahead and have him tell us what his comments are on this occasion.
Well, it's really a pleasure to be here today, because before my son Warren was born 5 years ago, and even before that, it's going back about 10 years, we protested and walked and screamed and yelled. We're going to block the Brooklyn Bridge and other arteries, because we thought that what Koch did was dastardly, to take 1,000 or more homeless men and put them in this facility, to deny a community a fair share in housing and housing for senior citizens, to close a hospital that a community needed, was terrible to do in this age. And the people here, many who deserve more reward than I do, Jan Peterson, Gary Haddam, who I hope will be here, Tish and Guido Cianciata, and so many others, the elected officials, fought long and hard to have this day, a day of celebration, that the mayor is coming to declare that there's going to be housing for people and housing for senior citizens. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you, sir. Quick question for you. How important is backup on this? Follow through. I mean, we get started and then...
You always have to have follow through when you're dealing with bureaucracy. I just read the new book last night called Reinventing Government, and that's what they talk about. Follow through, backup, hold the feet of the elected officials to the fire, and make sure it's not just promises, that we get it done. And we will do that.
Fine.
I've been here 10 years. God willing, 10 more years I'm going to be here to fight for this project.
Great. Mr. Cohen, thank you so much for all your help. The neighborhood appreciates it. Thank you.
Early in the ceremony, Ann Giordana, chairwoman of Neighborhood Women, awarded plaques adorned with gold shovels to those who led the fight. The honorees are Jan Peterson, founder, National Congress of Neighborhood Women; Teresa and Guido Cianciata, concerned citizens of Withers Street and Area Block Association; Margaret Carnegie and Mildred Johnson from the Cooper Park Houses; Gary Haddam, former GREC president and prior director of St. Nicholas; Marie Lianza of North Brooklyn Federal Credit Union, accepting the award, Marion Whalen; Tilly Tarantino, Consigliere Street Block Association, accepting the award, Tony Pastina; and Marty Needleman, Wayne Ciata, and Debbie Rand of Brooklyn Legal Services, Corporation A. Mayor David Dinkins arrived, drawing a loud cheer from the crowd of about 200 in attendance. Mayor Dinkins praised the community for its efforts.
I thank you all for your concern and for being here. I thank you for your generous applause. I sometimes say to audiences, I'm not necessarily well received everywhere I go during these difficult times that we all face. But I know that you know that this administration is working awfully hard, trying to solve the problems with which we are beset, problems that didn't start yesterday, but really it isn't a function of pointing fingers and blame or trying to assess where the guilt lies. The real problem is to find solutions, to get on with getting the job done, and that's what I'm about. We're here today not only to celebrate the start of renovation of the former Greenpoint Hospital complex, but also to celebrate the perseverance of a community and the culmination of a dream. For more than 9 years, the concerned residents of this community were united in their resolve to redevelop the Greenpoint Hospital site into affordable housing units for this community. Although it took 9 years to secure the necessary approval and funding, the Greenpoint community remained committed to this goal and never lost hope. Today, their determination and endurance has paid off. I'm pleased to announce the start of renovation of this site, 51 units of affordable housing for low-income families and families who are homeless or doubled up. Thanks to the persistence of many of you here, low-income families in this community earning no more than 60% of the median income will be able to rent these apartments at a cost ranging from $388 for a one-bedroom unit to $540 for a three-bedroom unit. You know, as I read these numbers earlier today, I thought to myself, when I started law school, married, one child, 3 bedrooms, not 3 bedrooms, 3 rooms. There is a difference. Let me tell you, the rent was $46 a month. 1953, and I had trouble getting that together. No, true. I worked all day, worked at night and went to school all day, law school here in Brooklyn. And when I'd come home, my wife would tell me that, you know, this is the second notice for this bill, and this one called 3 times, and she'd go on like that. Now, you know, when I get home from work, it would be after midnight because I worked in a liquor store, and I was very tired, carrying those heavy books on the A train, getting to J Street and Borough Hall. And I'd say, honey, look, I really don't want to hear it. She said, yeah, but it's the second night. I said, look, you tell them that I take all the bills and I put them in a hat. First of the month, I put them all in a hat. And I draw out 3, and I pay whatever 3 I happen to pick out. But if they keep annoying me, they won't get in the hat. But, you know, I remember those days. Some people think that some of us in public service and earning salaries that enable us to do things that we never dreamed we could do, think that we were born this way. And not so. Not so. I remember many long, hard, and difficult days in my almost 65 years. But I am so pleased that this has finally come to pass. Some of you may feel that 9 years is an awfully long time for a community to wait before it sees the culmination of its efforts, and it is. It is a long time. It is much too long. But I'm so sure that the 51 families that will soon be occupying these units will feel that it was worth the wait. So I applaud all of the residents of this community who have played an active role in our celebration today. I especially want to thank HPD Commissioner Felice Machete. The necessary funding for these worthy projects was provided through the city's local initiative support corporation and enterprise housing rehabilitation programs. It is sometimes the ingenuity of people like Felice Machete that enabled us to get things done. People want it to happen, want to do it, can't figure out how. But it is Felice and her staff who constantly work at solutions to problems like these. So I'm pleased that we have been successful. Thanks also to the sponsors, the St. Nicholas Neighborhood Preservation Corporation, sponsor of the Northern Daybreak Project, and the Neighborhood Women of Williamsburg Greenpoint, sponsors of the Neighborhood Women's Renaissance Project. Thank them for their commitment to these projects and to this community. This is part of a series of construction projects that are now underway in our city to bring decent and affordable housing to the residents of our communities. Through HPD's LISC and enterprise programs, more than 2,700 affordable housing units have been completed, 875 of which are located in Brooklyn, and 1,150 units are currently under construction, 385 of them here in Brooklyn. At a time of belt tightening and budget cutting, I am pleased that we can continue to move forward in providing this critical housing stock to our residents. But I'm even more delighted to know that the people of our city are willing to claim a stake in the rebuilding of their own communities, and that they have the will, the commitment, and the determination to bring their dreams to fruition. It's my hope that all New Yorkers will follow your fine example. I thank you for listening. God bless you all. Keep the faith.
Okay, we have with us Evelyn Rushvan, who's going to make some comments for us on this new building.
Good evening, good afternoon. I am the first vice president of the Grandparents Association. Margaret Carnegie is our president. We are 12 years in the Grandparents Association. This beautiful building, I'm very proud to be here this afternoon. We had a very, very wonderful day out here.
Well, Evelyn, thank you so much.
I appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
There.
Yes, dear, you too.
And now if we can get back to our program, I'd like to start with introducing, and if they can keep their remarks very, very brief, we'll allow the remaining delegation of elected officials to speak. The first person I'd like to ask to step forward just arrived. He's Congressman Stephen Solars, and I'd like to point out that the congressman in Washington has supported the federal tax credit program, which has been used as a financing mechanism to make this project possible. Congressman Solars?
Yes, Stephen!
Thank you very much. I want to take note of the presence of my colleagues in public life, Councilman Robles, Assemblyman Lopez, Assemblyman Lentol, Councilman Fisher. I particularly want to thank Assemblyman Lentol, upon whom I rely for advice all the time. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a classic example of the partnership between government and community organizations in order to sustain and improve the quality of life in a neighborhood. And if we can do it here in Greenpoint, then we can do it all over America. This country was built up and made great because of the spirit and the enthusiasm and the determination and the hard work of organizations like the Neighborhood Women and GREC and so many of the others that are involved in this project. I think they're doing a magnificent job. I am pleased that we could get some federal funding for it. I know we need more, but this is a good beginning, and I want to pay tribute to all of you for helping to support this great work. Thank you. Thank you very much, Congressman Solars. Congressman Ed Towns couldn't be with us today. He's down in Washington. And I'd just like to acknowledge the presence of Miss Judy Rodriguez, the Congressman's aide. The Congressman's deferred his time to the other elected officials. State Senator Ada Smith, who's been working with us over the years, has been a close ally of GREC and supporters of the Community Board and every step along the way also. She's here. Would you please step forward, Senator Smith?
Good afternoon. I just want to say thank you for allowing us all as elected officials to be a part of this. We are clearly in the background of your struggle. However, we are a part of it, and as long as we are your representatives, that is our role. And I thank you for allowing us to have that role.
Thank you very much. We're very fortunate. We're right on the borderline between many districts for our elected officials, and amongst those are our assemblymen. We are truly fortunate to have two very strongly committed assemblymen. I'd like to introduce the first is Assemblyman Joseph Lentol, who doesn't actually cover the shelter, but has been with us all the years in every battle that we've faced. Assemblyman Lentol.
I'm going to try and make my remarks just like Ada's, short and to the point. First of all, I want to congratulate all of you. This is truly a victory for the people of Greenpoint and Williamsburg, and you ought to be congratulated for it. In order for me to do that, I've come not empty-handed, but with a resolution commending the groups involved in this groundbreaking today. But before I present that resolution, I just want to say one important thing. This has been a long struggle. I remember when we were on the street, when Greenpoint Hospital closed, and they told us we were getting a homeless shelter here at the Greenpoint Hospital. And the community at that time had already been organized in an effort to get a nursing home and affordable housing at this site. And the same people who were on the street then, like Guido and Tish Cianciata and Jan Peterson and the people of Cooper Park Houses, the tenants, Tilly Tarantino, Marie Leanza, Gary Haddam, Mike Rochford, are all here today because they've been committed for 10 years to see this project through. And you know what? Somebody said it more eloquently than I can. This is only the beginning. It's truly only the beginning, because Greenpoint and Williamsburg deserves better, and because of the commitment of these people and all of you, we will get better. It gives me great pleasure, and I'll ask all of my colleagues in government who are here to help me present this resolution to you, Mike, as a designee of all the people who are involved, congratulating you as a representative of GREC for all of the work that you have done for our community. Thank you.
Continuing on with the program were Assemblyman Vito Lopez, Councilman Ken Fisher, and Councilman Victor Robles.
There's other dreams. You do not realize, some of you, the significance of having a nursing home in this community, so that when older people need a place to go and that their children and their family don't have to travel across town or to another borough, that they can go right here. That when we look at each of these buildings, we will see something extremely valuable and important. And piece by piece, and maybe in 4 or 5 years, we will then have something here that we all will be proud of.
Today we address the need for affordable housing and for shelter, a fundamental right. We have other needs in this neighborhood, and I'd ask Commissioner Machete to take back a message to the mayor from us that we have a desperate need to service the elderly, and this would make a wonderful site for the future home of the David N. Dinkins Nursing Home.
And whether you like me or you don't, or whether you like anyone here or you don't, we better understand one thing. We are the community, and as the community, we must work together, struggle together, pray together, and celebrate together, not what one person, but what we as a people have done together. Thank you, and God bless you.
So we believe in your plan, Mayor Dinkins. Smaller shelters with the proper services, and let's all work together in this endeavor as a united force. Thank you.
Hi, join me and I'll show you how to make pasta crudo when Neighborhoods Today returns in just a moment after this message.
Lyme disease is transmitted by a tick the size of a pinhead, which can attack during a walk in the woods or a park or even in your own backyard. But tick bites can be prevented, and the disease can often be successfully treated, especially in the early stages. The Will Rogers Institute is offering a free booklet to help you learn about Lyme disease. It tells how to recognize the symptoms and the best ways to reduce your chances of getting it. For your free copy, write the Will Rogers Institute, White Plains, New York.
We have 1.5 pounds of ripe tomatoes, ripe plum tomatoes. Now, if you buy these, or you get them out of your garden, wherever, however you get them, and they're not entirely ripe, keep them out overnight for a few days. They will ripen. If you just leave them out on a windowsill or out in a dish, do not refrigerate them. What we do, now this is called salsa cruda, which means a crude sauce. We just cut the tomato in half, cut it down in slices, and just chop it up a little bit. Doesn't really matter how you do it, but okay. We'll add that to get all that good stuff in there. Then we need a ½ cup of black chopped olives. We need 1/3 cup of olive oil. We need 2 chopped up garlics, and it's got to be fresh, and it doesn't matter how you chop it up. We need 1/3 cup of fresh chopped parsley. Whoop! That happened. You're in the kitchen alone. Remember that. We need fresh basil, and this is up to you. Now, this has been frozen, so it's no problem. It's still fresh basil. And put that in there. That's how you like it. We need a few red pepper flakes, or as some Italians call this, diavolo, which means hot. And this is what we're going to do with the vodka. To make this really icy, throw in 1/3 cup of vodka. Mix it all up. Can you see that? I can't begin to tell you what this smells like. It's driving me wild. Mix it all up. Now throw in 1 pound of hot cooked rotelli. Rotelli is good for this because it'll catch all this stuff. You drop some on the table, you pick them up, you wrap them up, and just mix it up. Now you can serve this just like this, with the hot pasta and the cold sauce, or you can allow it to sit out for a while and let the flavors come together and come down to room temperature. And you have a wonderful, wonderful pasta sauce that looks absolutely great, smells fantastic, and sitting on your buffet table, of course in a prettier dish than this, will be absolutely wonderful, and nobody will know that you have vodka in it. Thank you for joining us. Again, if you want the recipes, please write to Neighborhoods Today, send a self-stamp addressed envelope, and we'll be delighted to send you the recipes. Good night.
In communities all across America, there grows a mighty forest. In small towns and big cities, where people are making beautiful music together, planting here, pruning there, all with the help of their free tree care guide from the National Arbor Day Foundation. This is Eddie Albert. Write the National Arbor Day Foundation for your free How to Prune guide and help make your town a Tree City, USA.
Glaucoma can destroy your vision before you realize it. When it's advanced, you may notice blurred vision, halos around lights, gradual loss of sight vision that ends in blindness. But glaucoma does most of its damage before it shows any symptoms, unless your eye doctor detects and treats it in time. So have your eyes examined, especially if you're over 40. Regular checkups can save your sight. A message from the Will Rogers Institute, White Plains, New York.
That's it for this edition. For Neighborhoods Today, I'm Dick Mahon. Thank you for watching.